Hello, hello. My name's Sammy, aka Four-string Boy, and this is Fingerstyle First-days. Some lovely original fingerstyle pieces made for you people who are trying to get into your ukulele fingerstyle. Now, there's 10 pieces overall, and today we're on piece 7, and they do go up in difficulty. So obviously, today we start to ramp it up a little bit. If you're not familiar with my work, this is Fingerstyle First-days, and they act as the prequel to the series I already made called Fingerstyle First-days. I realize you might be listening to me and be like, he's saying the same thing twice. What's wrong with you? But I promise you, it's two different words. And this one, the First-day series, like I said, has been designed so we go essentially from piece 1, which is the easiest, up to piece 10, and then you're unleashed into the Fingerstyle First-days. There's 75 First-day pieces once you've completed these. So you'll be busy for a while, but as I was doing those each week, and they were years ago, I didn't really plan them in order of difficulty, and I think that's hard for 75 pieces. So anyway, this is piece number 7, and we do start to see a little bit of the First-day thinking and difficulty within this piece. And what I mean by that is we're going to have 3 kind of different variations of a theme going on throughout the piece, and each one gets a little bit more difficult. It might be subtle, but essentially it's there to train both your right hand and your left hand. In this video, I'll be teaching you the entire thing from start to finish. However, if you would like a PDF copy of the tab and music sheet, then you can grab the Fingerstyle First-days PDF book from my website. It has all 10 pieces and 3 MP3 playthroughs of each piece included. So if you're a sheet person, feel free to go head over to my website, link down below to grab that. And whilst we're talking about my website, actually, there's a lovely little page over there that says courses. I teach these 5-week courses very often. However, I have one that's coming up at the current time that's all about composing fingerstyle pieces on the ukulele. And as we're here in this video talking about pieces that I've written, and again, 10 pieces here, plus the 75, plus the ukulele album, I've written quite a few. So if you are somebody who's interested in writing little fingerstyle pieces, kind of like I do on the ukulele, then I recommend you check out that course. Head over to my website, courses. Again, I'll drop the link down below. Okay, so for today's piece, we need a high G ukulele. Make sure you're all tuned. If you want to listen to the playthrough without all the backing and everything, then you can head to the very end of the video, just check the chapters, and you can listen just to the ukulele on its own. Right, that's everything I have to say. Let's go and learn Fingerstyle First-day number 7. Okay, so for piece number 7, just before we get into it, again, I want to talk about the fingerstyle pattern that's going on underneath. This isn't a new conversation. You'll always find that we always have a conversation about a little pattern that's going on. And that's because most of the times when we do look at fingerstyle pieces, especially when it kind of has to be quite repetitive, there will be a form or a pattern underneath it. And the sooner you can figure that out, the sooner you'll have a nice time. Now, looking at the sheet, if you are looking at it, it might look like there's not really a pattern, or you might play it through and might not be able to hear it. But again, I'll talk you through what's going on and how I'm thinking about it. So in this piece, every single bar contains continuous, pretty much 16th notes. So that means you have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a 16 notes in that entire bar. Now, usually when we count them, we do count them 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a, and they break nicely into 4s. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. But that's not how we should always think and feel about 16th notes. We are free to break them into as many different kind of partitions as we want. As long as it adds to 16, it's cool. So that does mean that today's secret maths lesson will be a pattern of 6, followed by the same pattern of 6, which is 12. And then we have a pattern of 4, which is the same first 4 notes that we use for the 6. So we've got to constantly think about a 6, 6, 4 pattern that's going on. If you can get your head around that, you'll be just fine. So let's talk about the pattern first of all. So essentially, we're just going to start on the E string fretting for the moment, and you can use your ring finger for this, or you can use your index finger. Essentially, we're just going to be descending, so 5th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st. If I'm using my 5th, then I can come back to the 3rd straight away. That's all I'm thinking about logically, but you're also free to use whatever finger you like. So I'm going to use my ring finger, and what we're going to do is keep everybody else open. So I'm going to pluck my E string, followed by my G string. So I'm plucking my E string with my index finger, and then plucking my G string with my thumb. E, G. Then I'm going to pluck the A string with my middle finger, followed by the G string with your thumb. So that time we go A, G. And then we're going to pluck the E string again with our index finger, followed by the G string again with your thumb. So that's E, G again. So actually that means our pattern of 6 goes E, G, A, G, E, G. That's all it is. E, G, A, G, E, G. Now that might not feel too complicated, but is when we start playing this pattern of 6 back to back, it starts to feel a little weird. So if I play 2 of them in a row, we would go E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G. So we have to play this pattern of E, G twice in a row, and that will hurt for a while. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G. And that's all of our pattern of 6. And like I said, technically in a piece, we're going to have to play that twice in a row. So E, G, A, G, E, G, which is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we play the same thing again. E, G, A, G, E, G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's try playing that back to back. So you've got 2 lots of 6. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G. And once you kind of get used to that, you can start counting it in the 6 if you want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, whatever's easiest, whatever gets stuck in your brain, that's the way you need to tackle it. So we just have a pattern of 4 left, and it is actually the same pattern of 4 that we just played. So we're going to play E, G, A, G, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So every single bar, there's a couple that end early, but pretty much our theme going forward is this pattern of 6, pattern of 6, pattern of 4. So we go E, G, A, G, E, G. That's your first pattern of 6. Followed by a second pattern of 6, E, G, A, G, E, G. And then followed by a pattern of 4, E, G, A, G. Now again, these are 16th notes, so there's no time for breaks, okay? So it will sound like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that might take a while just to soak in, okay? I promise you, this is, like I said, the recurring kind of pattern that's going on throughout. But it might take a while to hear it because it's a little bit of an awkward pattern. So once you've let that soak into your veins, okay, that was our bar 1 done. Bar 2, we're just going to move our plucking finger to the 3rd fret E string, and like I said, I'm going to use my index finger. I already had it there cheekily. So we're going to play our same pattern. 6, 6, 4. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. Same. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. So moving on to bar 3, all we're going to do is move our index finger down to the 2nd fret of the E string, and we're going to play the same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And then we're just going to move 1 fret down on the E string to the 1st fret on the E string, and we're going to play the exact same pattern again. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. So you can see within those first 4 bars, you're really going to get this pattern hammered into you, okay? So if I was to play those 4 bars together, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. And again, like I said, it might take a little while just for that to sink until you can kind of hear it. But when it finally clicks, and sometimes these take our ears a little while, it'll all be much easier. Hello PDF lovers. If you are looking at the sheet currently, you'll notice that I'm talking about bars 1 to 4, but on the PDF, actually each line only contains 3 bars. So the whole song is basically broken into patterns of 4, as in 4 bars at a time. But because we have 16th notes, that's a lot of information in our bars. And so if I try and put 4 bars next to each other full of 16th notes, it gets really squished in and looks quite messy and hard to read. So essentially throughout the sheet, each one will have 3 bars across it, but every time we're going to think and talk about it, it will be 4 bars at a time. Okay, so heading over to bar 5, we essentially go back to where we started, which is the 5th fret, but I want us to use a different finger this time. We just finished the 1st fret with our index finger, and I want you to zoom all the way back up to the 5th fret of the E string with your index finger. Now the main reason for this is because basically we're going to go up, so I'm going to use my fingers like that. Before we were descending and going down, so I'm always trying to think of what's easiest to stretch to the next note. And basically for my index finger before, I had to do a big jump. If I use my ring finger this time, I'd also have to do a big jump. So even though I'm playing the same thing, it really depends on what comes next in the piece as to what finger I use. So we're back on the 5th fret, bar 5, exactly the same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And then for bar 6, we're going to use our ring finger to come up to the 8th fret of our E string. And we're going to play the exact same pattern here. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. Then for bar 7, we're actually going to use our middle finger to play fret 7 on the E string, so we're kind of chromatically walking down here. So use your middle finger, 7th fret, same pattern, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And then for bar 8, we're going to use our index finger to come down to the 6th fret on the E string. Now for this one, we're actually going to finish a little bit earlier. So we're actually only going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. And we're essentially just going to finish on that last pluck there. So we are going E, G, A, G, E, G, which is my pattern of 6. And then I'm just going to go E, G, A. And I let that hang for the rest of the bar. Now, if you're not sure how long that should be, honestly, it's not a big deal to worry about it, okay? If you're practicing to a metronome, that's much harder. Essentially, we'd have to think about in 16th notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and then we carry on. But if you're playing on your own, just let it sit there for a little bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. And whenever you feel ready for it, come back to it. Music's all about drama, so create some drama, sit there and just really make the listeners want the next part. But you could just keep on counting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that will keep you perfectly in time. Okay, so bars 5, 6, 7, and 8 will sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1, 2. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 1. Okay, so now we hit bar 9, and this is the second movement of the piece. Now, our E string is never going to change. We're always going to go 5, 3, 2, and 1. But what's happening is we're adding different notes on the A string as well. So this is how it levels up. Rather than just using an open string on the A, we're going to have different harmony notes just on the A string. So, like I said, if you look at the E string, on the tab, it'll look exactly the same, 5, 3, 2, 1, but we're going to have to use different fingers because now we're playing these double stops. Double stops just means we play 2 notes at a time. So for bar 9, we need our index finger on the 3rd fret A string. Now I use my middle finger for the 5th fret of the E string, but that's quite a stretch, I appreciate, so you are free to use your ring finger also. Just work out who feels best. The main reason I use my middle finger is because then for the next shape I need to use the same 2 fingers so I can just kind of slide easily into them. But there is nothing wrong with using your ring finger. Either way, there's very little advantage. So whether you've got your middle finger or ring finger on the 5th fret E string, you need your index finger on the 3rd fret A string. And we're going to play our same pattern that we're used to. So we're going to go E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G. Okay, so for bar 10, essentially I'm just going to move this down, and so that's my index finger on the 2nd fret A string, and then middle finger on the 3rd fret E string. So 2 on the A, 3 on the E. And shockingly, we're going to play the same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G. So for bar 11, this one again, same plucking pattern, but the chord change is quite drastic, but also we can just fall into it. So essentially what we need to do is we need to move our index finger from the 2nd fret A string to the 2nd fret E string. So just let that take over first, because there's barely any movement there. And then your pinky is going to stretch up to the 5th fret A string. So we've got 2 on the E string, and then 5 on the A string. So again, just practice that change between the first chord where we had 3 and 2, and then move over to 2 and 5. And just practice kind of trying to move them 2 at a time, but try and lead with your index finger. I think is the easiest way because it's already pretty much on the right fret. So just a little bit of practice, moving between those 2 chord shapes. It'll really help you. And again, same pattern. So we're going to go E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G. And then for bar 12, all we're going to do is move down 1 fret to the 1st fret E string, and we're keeping everything open. So we've technically already played this before, which is nice, but again, 1st fret E string, same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G. Okay, so that means bar 9, 10, 11, and 12 will sound like this all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so for bar 13, we continue kind of the same theme that we've got going on. We need to return to our 5th fret on the E string and 3rd fret on the A string. We're going to play our same pattern, and again, I'm going to use my middle finger for this, but if you're using your ring, that's totally fine. Same pattern, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. We're then going to move all the way up to the 7th fret on the A string and 8th fret on the E string. Now, if you're clever, like I said, if you use those 2 fingers, you can just keep them both on the fretboard and move up. If you're using your ring finger, then still I would transport your index finger to the 7th, and then your middle finger can just take over on the 8th like that, okay? So don't pick it up and try and transport it. Use the strings to go whee and slide all the way there instead. So once we've got our 8 and our 7, we're going to play the same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. Now for bar 15, this is weird because we're actually going to make the same change that we did here for bars 10 to 11, but we're on 8 and 7. And then we're going to move our index finger over to the 7th fret E string, and then pinky on the 10th fret A string. That is weirdly the exact same chord change that we had earlier. Should be exactly the same. So the more we train one, the easier the other one will feel. So that's 7 on the E string with my index, and then 10 on the A string with my pinky. Same pattern, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. Okay, so then for bar 16, we come into almost a C minor-ish chord. So what we have to do is essentially move this whole thing down a fret So our index finger is now on the 6th fret. And I'm going to say take over the A string with your ring finger on the 8th fret. So that's on the 6th fret, 8th fret. 6 on E, 8 on A. And again, it might just take a little bit of practice moving from that 7 and 10 to that 6 and 8. But if you lead with your index finger, you just kind of drop that ring finger on. It should already be hovering around the right place as soon as you get your index finger in place. So we're going to play the same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. So that means bars 13, 14, 15, and 16 should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now we move to bar 17, and this is the third theme, okay? Now, this is going to be very, very, very much almost identical to the second theme, bar one tiny adjustment that might seem minor, but will be very annoying. And I've put it in there because I think it musically sounds nice, but also I want to annoy you. So deeply sorry, I'm a teacher. So plucking hand is going to be fine. So we're back to the 1st fret on the A string and 5th fret on the E string. So once we've got that shape, we're essentially going to do the same thing, but our first pattern of 6 is going to end slightly differently. At the moment, we go E, G, A, G, E, G. We're going to change that so that last G string, essentially the 6th beat, will change to a C string. So we end up going E, G, A, G, E, C instead. Now, just to annoy you, a reminder that the bar is 6, a 6, and then 4. We're only modifying the first 6. Your second pattern of 6 will stay exactly the same as it always is. So that means our new pattern of 6 is E, G, A, G, E, C, followed by your normal 6, E, G, A, G, E, G, and then followed by your 4, E, G, A, G. So bar 17 and the new pattern should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I said, a subtle difference, but by adding the lowest string, which we haven't heard yet in the whole piece, gives a nice depth to the little piece of music. But also for you, I'm making sure that your thumb can pluck and change strings on demand. So bar 18, we move to 3rd fret on the E string and then 2nd fret on the A string. And like I said, left hand wise, plucking hand wise, you're going to see this is very much the same as the movement we just talked about. So we need the new pattern of 6, E, G, A, G, E, C, and then our regular pattern, E, G, A, G, E, G, and then 4, E, G, A, G. So for bar 18, we end up going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. For bar 19, we do our lovely little change where we bring our index finger to the 2nd fret E string and then pinky out on the 5th fret A string. Same pattern, E, G, A, G, E, C, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And then for bar 20, we just move that down to the 1st fret. And we're going to play the same pattern, E, G, A, G, E, C, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. Okay, so bars 17, 18, 19, 20 should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. So kicking off to bar 21, it's basically the same as the second half of the second movement. So we're back to 5th fret and 3rd fret. 5th on the E, 3rd on the A string. Again, I'm using my middle finger and ring for that. So same pattern that we just played. That means we go E, G, A, G, E, C, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. We then move all the way up to fret 7 on our A string and fret 8 on our E string. And again, I use my index and middle for these. So same pattern, we will go E, G, A, G, E, C, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. Then for bar 23, we do the same movement where you bring your index finger to the 7th fret of the E string, and then pinky on 10th fret of the A string. Once we're there, same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, C, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And then for bar 28, we move down to this almost C minor pattern. So it's basically 6th fret on the E string. That's 7 to 6. So just bring your whole hand to that. And then your ring finger takes over on the 8th fret of the A string. Now, we're going to play the same pattern, but we're just going to end a little bit earlier. Exactly the same as what we did before. So we start off with our pattern of 6. E, G, A, G, E, C. That's our pattern of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then we're just going to play E, G, A, which is our 1, 2, 3, and then we let it sit for the rest of the bar. We did this earlier, but you basically, if you're going to count those numbers, we would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4. But again, if you can't be bothered to count, just let it hang on there. And then just come back to it whenever you fancy. Maybe 2 weeks. Okay, so bars 21 to 24 should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. Okay, so for the very last line, bars 25 to 28, they're essentially bars 1 to 4. It's where we started. But the only thing is on bar 4, we're just going to literally start with the first, end with the first note. And that means we're only going to pluck one note for bar 4. So what I mean by that is we go to bar 25. We need to be on the 5th fret of our E string. Now, as we started here, you're free to either just move down with your index finger for this one, because we're only going down and that's the end of the piece, or you can do it just like we did in bar 1 and start with your ring finger. Whichever one's most comfortable from that previous chord, that's the one you choose. So once we're there, we're going to play our original pattern, which, just as a reminder, was E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And for bar 26, move down 2 frets to our 3rd fret of the E string. Same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And for bar 27, play the same pattern. E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G, E, G, E, G, A, G. And then for our very last bar, we're just going to move down to the 1st fret of the E string and just pluck that and let that sit. So that means our last line, bars 25 to 28, should sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And there we have it. Okay, that one was a little bit more difficult, and you're starting to feel the difficulty now. Like I said, these 3 different layers, these 3 variations of the pieces, is very much how I tackled a lot of my Fingerstyle First-day series, okay? You start off with an idea, and then you just add something, and then you add something again, and it shows that you don't have to constantly rewrite things. You can take an idea and just have it get progressively a little bit more complex each time, and it builds a theme. If you're interested, the ukulele I performed it on today is the Flight Aviator, a very, very, very new release from Flight. There's a whole review over on my channel. One thing I will say, if you're keen for aviator news, is that they come strung low G. I have restrung this high G with my uke Logics, so it is re-entrant. I was very curious as to how it would sound with it. I am loving it at the moment, which is really nice, but I will do some proper sound samples and talk about it on YouTube if you're interested. And again, thank you so much for joining me for all these and having to listen to me go on and teach them. I hope you're enjoying these pieces. We're very, very, very close to the end. Piece number 8 will be dropping in roughly 2 weeks. So, hope to see you then. Make sure you subscribe to keep up with all the usual loveliness. Yes, subscribe, like, all the bullshit. Cool. Have a lovely day. Love you lots. Bye bye bye.